It'll be one to go this time by. Coming to the green, buddy, coming to the green. Let's go get him. Go, 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 go.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway.
David Poole, Star Reserve. Mike, does it speak to the seriousness of this situation, the financial situation, that in an era, I mean, Roush Racing had talked 2 years ago about testing their way out of difficulty with the new race car. Jimmy Johnson started this season struggling a little bit, and they tested a lot and tested their way back into enough competitiveness that they're going to perhaps win this championship. Given that the development of the car tomorrow is still an ongoing process in the garage here, the teams are still trying to learn about this car and make it better. The decision to not let them continue to do that at the benefit of saving costs, does that speak to how serious the situation is? Was that a tough balance to strike for you guys in considering this?
It was this decision was certainly one that came with a lot of conversation, a lot of discussion, a lot of thought, and a lot of input from a lot of different stakeholders in the sport. And we reached it based on the thought that this is the time of year when race teams need to know what their test policy is to make plans. And taking today's circumstances and looking into the '09 season and what things is there that NASCAR can do to help car owners from a resource aspect going into '09 because of the challenging set of circumstances that everybody has. This was one that was timely and relevant, and we feel like even with the sacrifices that will be made from not doing it warranted doing it. And so therefore we landed on the decision we landed. The hope is, and the thinking is that this unplugs one element of the '09 season. And if you look back the last few years, this element has been only a portion of the whole season. There was limited testing already, limited access to tires, limited number of racetracks that we race on that you could go to. So this policy already had limitations to it. We're simply removing the last portion of those limitations that were out there. And we feel like we can do that. We can accomplish giving the teams a tool to work with from a resource aspect and not take away from the quality of the races on the racetracks. We think this one for at least '09 can do all of that.
We're going to take a question from David and then Claire, and then we'll take 3 questions over on this side, and our next guest is here, and we certainly don't want to impede him talking, do we? You
Maybe.
See him back there?
I see him. We'll give him his time.
Yeah, Mike David Newton, ESPN.com. Is there concern, though, with eliminating this, that the teams, the Big Four especially, that have more money, where they can invest in more engineers, the 7-post, the pull-down rigs and all that, that it's going to widen the gap from the top of the field to the bottom?
You can make that argument, but I think there's another side of that. I think that you still, in order to utilize engineers and 7-post machines and all that, you got to have good data. And the best data that you can get is going to the racetrack and getting it. And so I think you can also make the argument that maybe it closes that gap some. But the decision was made based on having to come up with a test policy, and oh, by the way, we're going to go into '09 with some challenging economic circumstances around us. That was the driving force behind it at the end of the day.
Claire Belang, XM. My question was just about asked, but I'm going to hit it anyway, and that is, you know the garage unlike anyone else. What do you think the effect of this will be, not in the saving of money, but what happens back at the race shops? What happens at a Hendrick Motorsports? Do they sim more? And what happens to a Max Pappas team that doesn't have the books or the resources, they said today, to look back over past history? What happens now when these guys go back at these various teams? What do you see happening?
I think you see pretty much what you see today. Different teams, different opinions, different approaches will be applied. It's the same thing that happens today. The only thing we've unplugged is testing at a group of tracks that they've been historically testing at. But the reaction to it and the steps that teams take will be the same that we've seen in 08 and 07 and 06 and 1952. They're all going to approach it differently, and the way they approach it ends up creating their own level of performance and successes, and it applies in 09 the same way it did in 49, I think.
Bruce, you'll have the last question.
Bruce Martin with SI.com. The Goodyear tire tests are going to be very valuable to the teams that are, invited to participate in those. Is there a way to kind of keep those fair? I know there was one team owner out in the garage that even suggested come up with a separate test team, get a guy like Rusty Wallace to do the tire testing so that there's no perceived advantage from any existing team out there.
Was that Roger Penske that suggested Rusty to do that? I think obviously Goodyear tires testing will be important for two reasons. One, it'll be important to get the right tire at the event, and it will have some merit to it for the guys that are in the test. And we have been working with Goodyear to try to spread that out and make it fair, and we'll continue to do that and probably raise the bar on that a little bit in 09 to be sure that the participants of the tire tests get those opportunities get spread out. I think we still are best served by the active teams and drivers in the garage area doing the tire tests, because those are the ones that will be using the tire at times, and they're the ones that know hopefully how to put the tire through the proper tests to come up with the right answer when it comes time for us to have the tire on the racetrack.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.